It's the same thing. I don't know if sometimes when you're nutrition coaching Monroe, someone will say something and it's like a golden nugget. You're like, oh, well, this is interesting.
Yeah, that is so useful.
I can help
like
for
that.
this.
Absolutely. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Full Send Podcast. I'm alongside two of my good friends, colleagues over here at Verity Speed and Strength. I've got Coach Monroe. And I've got Coach Lauren here. Good afternoon, guys. What's going on?
Another great day. We got some good lighting in here.
It's
got
amazing,
some good audio.
man.
We got a video.
Guys, the production is really getting real over here. It's we got lighting, we got camera stuff, videos coming online. This has come a long way since you and I just kind of jumped on Zoom that one time and talked about cigarettes and Netflix and everything like that.
Yep.
Hats off to you hats off to you for doing all the legwork on the research and all this stuff. I don't know how all this stuff works. I just can kind of get some audio and everything going. So
yeah, I mean, I've been super interested in video content, and I'm trying to grow a YouTube channel this year. So that's been kind of what prompted all of this. And we did the podcast, so we already had this going. So I was like, why not let people see us? I know I personally like to watch podcasts, just as much as I like to listen to them. It's just kind of.
Yeah, everybody's got a preference, and now we have an option for everybody, right?
For sure.
It's awesome. Lauren, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How are you?
Doing well.
Awesome.
Busy
Second
with
time on
work.
the show.
Yeah. Well, guys, what do we get to talk about tonight?
Today we're going to talk about nutrition coaching. It's something that is on everybody's mind, nutrition, getting in shape, getting healthy, New Year's resolutions, all that stuff. And we actually just revamped our nutrition coaching program here. Brought lovely Miss Lauren on as our, a new nutrition coach. She just finished her PN1 certification, so
that's awesome. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Super excited to have her on the team.
So does this mean if I want to get abs like Lauren, this is where I go for this? How do I sign up?
You got to talk to her, man. She knows that.
Hey, abs are made in the kitchen, so.
I think that's one of the most common questions I'll get from, a buddy of mine who will try out class, something like that. They'll be like, who is a chick with the super ripped up abs? And I'm like, that's Lauren. All right, guys. Well, it's the turn of the new year, and as you guys know, with just different life cycles and everything, the turn of the new year is a lot of times, it's the busiest time in the gym. It's a lot of times where people reassess their life and they're like, hey, I'm finally going to do this working out thing or this nutrition thing. I want to drop 30 pounds. I want to put on some muscle, wherever that's going to be. I mean, so where should people start with trying to get in shape for 2021?
I'll let you take this.
Set a goal and tell someone your goal. Make it a public goal. And the more likely you do that and you have someone to check into, the more likely you are to reach that goal. So I think figure out with yourself what your goal is that will make you the most happy, what's most realistic, and state that goal.
Yeah, I agree. I think putting it out into the world, if you just keep it to yourself, it doesn't make it as real, so I think that talking about it, regularly, reminding yourself regularly, having it in the front of your mind. One thing I notice is that people get really goal oriented and figuring out what they want to do first of the year, and then a couple months in, it's just kind of like, we're just coasting through life and figuring out. I try to reaffirm and reset my goals every single morning. And I think that's really important.
When you guys are setting up goals for yourself, I do this a little bit differently too. I have some stuff that's like sticky notes. I have stuff where beginning of the morning I start stuff with journaling, and I read each morning, and I just read. I got 90 days, 3 month stuff, annual stuff. What do you guys do to kind of visualize what you guys are trying to accomplish for the year, 3 months, a week, if anything?
Yeah, I do the same. I do journaling in the morning, and I think that really helps. But I'm not the best planner, so
okay. I think that's a key point, right? So it's not like we're talking about goals right now, and we have this crap dialed in, for certain. I'm going to say most days I'm really good at it. Over the holidays, I was really bad about getting up, reading, journaling my stuff, rereading through what I was trying to accomplish for that particular day. And I honestly kind of fall apart during the week, just from an anxiety level. That's what I struggle from more than anything. It's not so bad to where it's crippling my life, but it certainly affects my everyday output. So I think that's a key thing just to make sure is look, nobody's going to be perfect every single day when you guys are trying to accomplish all this stuff that you're trying to accomplish as well. I think that's a pretty key note. Lauren, how about you?
Same thing. I also read a lot. Like, I don't journal as much as I wish that I did, but I read a lot of books, like we were just talking about mindset, about being successful. And I think that helps, even though I know these things, it helps to remind me, focus on your goals, stay focused. Here are the small things you should be doing. Even if you get bogged down in the anxiety or work or anything, still stay focused. Like, don't, and also tips to reduce distractions so you can focus. Like, the one thing I was reading yesterday was like, if you get distracted by your phone easily, checking notifications, checking social media, whatever, like, hide it. Try hiding it for a day.
Man.
Airplane
that's
noise.
So,
Right,
airplane mode.
That's so key.
Constant reminders. Like, I need to read a lot of things or listen to a lot of things to remind myself to do what I care about.
Yeah. Everybody's different too, right? I mean, Lauren said that she doesn't journal as much. That's okay. Like, everybody's got their own vices that are going to help them accomplish whatever they're going to be trying to accomplish within their daily goals and everything like that. I love the notification thing. I'm terrible about that. And I even set timers for myself on certain tasks now. And that comes from like Jason Khalifa's like AMRAP mentality, where he's like, all right, 15 minutes, it's just emails. Phone goes on the other side of the room, and it's just me and my computer, which I think is also really useful as well there, guys. Well, cool. So we got goals. What else? What else do we need to get started in 2021?
Yeah. So one thing that I see a lot of is that, the analysis paralysis, where people are trying to find the perfect thing. They're trying to start with, figure out what's going to be the thing that's going to get them to success, instead of just starting and just keeping it simple and just starting and doing something today. Like, it's now the 7th. What you set your goal on the 1st.
Yeah.
How have you done with that? If you were kind of like, Monday's the 4th, that's when I'll get to the gym, and then you drank on Sunday night, and then you missed the 6 a.m. on Monday, and it's like, I already missed Monday, let me just start next week. No, like, if you're watching this and you haven't started your goal, why don't you just get up and go do 50 burpees, and then come back to the show, and we'll be here, and then you'll have progressed your goal a little bit. It's just about taking action. And I think that that daily reminder, that journaling, that just having it present in your mind, will help. But at some point, you just gotta do. You just gotta go. So.
And I think you have to go, and you have to stay consistent with it. That's something in PN. Even if you can't commit to anything, it's very important about forming the habits. So even if it's a 5-minute action that you can do every day for a month, that's what will help you. Like, we just finished this fitness challenge, and I'm not great at some things, and a couple of them were do mobility for 20 minutes, drink 100 ounces of water. And because I did that for 6 straight weeks, now it feels weird to not do it. And
6 weeks is like building a habit too. I think they say it's about 21 days on average to be able to build new habits and everything like that. So,
And so it's like, if you want to be a morning person and work out early in the morning, or you want to journal, whatever, if you do something for 6 weeks straight every day, or even, you had to do it for 5 days out of the week or so, and you have a little bit of cushion there. But that helped form that habit, and now that's something. So I think if you pick something, you find a goal, you develop a 5-minute action to get you there, and you do it consistently, something you can do absolutely every day, you'll form that habit, and then it feels weird to not do it.
For sure. And we were talking about like setting goals and affirming it to someone, or like telling someone about it at the beginning of this challenge, and I was shocked. But each person had an individual goal, and they had to communicate it with me, and they were going to spend the 6 weeks working on it. Maybe it was unbroken double unders, or certain pounds they wanted to lose, or whatever. But it was crazy how many people hit it in the first week. There was
That's
like
amazing.
4 or 5 people that just by the fact of saying, okay, I can't do this, and now someone's saying, hey, what are you going to try and do that you can't do right now? And they figured out in literally like week 1, people were climbing the rope for the first
That's
time. People hitting double unders for the first time.
I didn't realize that.
That was really cool.
Yeah, guys, that's really awesome. I know a lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff in the turn of 2021, I think a lot of it comes to weight. And I think one of the most common things that we see within the gym, when somebody comes up to us and they come into Verity and Speed and Strength for the first time, they're typically, the most common thing is, I want to lose weight, I want to lose 20 pounds, I want to get back to where I was, I want to do this because I want to look better, do this for my kids. Lots of times it comes down to that. So I know we're going to talk a lot about nutrition coaching and everything like that today, precision nutrition and all that. But do I have to follow a specific diet when we're talking about those related things?
What do you recommend, Lauren?
So I think it's super interesting. I think you have to find out what works well for you. We say that all the time. But it's like I've done macro counting, and I did it a couple years ago right after I had my baby, and it worked extremely well for me. And then I started it back up maybe 6 or so months ago. Didn't work as well. So it's interesting because I think even something that may have worked for you in the past may not work for you now. So I think you really do have to experiment with different things. And in Precision Nutrition, we use outcome-based decision making. After you do something.
And I'm not that familiar with that, right? So this is going to be a great educational opportunity for me. What did you just say? Outcome what?
Outcome-based decision making.
What is that, Lauren? Can you elaborate on that? Just for a little bit. I know we're going to go into that a little bit deeper into the show.
Definitely. But it's so if you start and you do 5 meals, 30% protein, 30% fats, 40% carbs, whatever your mix is, and you do that, and then you keep track of it, and you analyze the data, you look at the outcomes, and then you make decisions based on those outcomes. And so that's the best way to figure out where to make changes. And then from there, you can do lots of things, changing that balance, changing those proportions, cutting out certain meals, eating at different times. There's lots of different ways you can change, and then look at the outcomes and make decisions based on those. So I think there's lots of different diets you can take, and which ones work best for your body just depends on those outcomes.
All right, guys, so we're talking about nutrition schemes, paleo, keto, intermittent fasting. There's a lot of different options, that are out there. I think something that's helpful in life, in all honesty, but this is true of nutrition, I think, as well, is just to simplify it as much as possible.
Yeah. And
in particular, don't program hop either, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that can be really... It can seem like a really good idea when you see, I don't know, with all the different content that we have out there. I mean, you can be scrolling on YouTube and then see this thing for, the ketogenic diet, and you might be an intermittent faster and be like, well, if I do this, maybe the outcome will be different. So there's a couple different things with that. Like, pick one, stick with that. Patience is also a really big key in that really nice outcomes like, losing 30 pounds or, for me, it was taking on, financial debt. Like, stuff like that is not done overnight. And so being patient on any good thing, like that's going to be a really key component to this as well, is giving us a little bit of time. How much time would you guys typically say you got to give a typical nutrition program?
I mean, it depends on your goal. I think, so the interval that we use is 2 weeks. And like Lauren was saying, try something for 2 weeks and then, check in. We'll do that outcome-based decision making. And that's basically like, how's that going for you? I'm a big believer in eating a wide variety of minimally processed whole foods. Like you said, keep it simple. With fitness in 100 words from CrossFit is, eat meats and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. I mean, you do that and you do CrossFit a couple times a week, like that's a recipe for a pretty good base of fitness and health. So yeah, keep it simple. Like I talked about this on a video last week, when you take your dog to the vet and they're overweight, they tell you to feed your dog less and walk them more. They don't say like, well, should I put them on the paleo diet? It doesn't really work like that, right? So people want to find this magical thing that's just going to like help them lose weight. And the reality of it is that, it's a process. It's a long thing, and a lot of people are really excited at the beginning of the year. And then, once it's 2, 3, 4 weeks in and they're not down 50 pounds and they haven't achieved their goal yet, it becomes really hard to, kind of stick with it. So that's why, for at least the people that are at our gym, I really like to have goals that are related to weight loss, if that's your goal, obviously, but also have other kinds of goals, like physical goals, like, if you're running, are we doing... Let's try and run for 10 minutes straight. Tomorrow, let's try and run for 11 minutes, and just small incremental steps that you can see successes with that aren't slow progress, like losing 50 pounds over the course of 6 months is,
Yeah.
So.
As far as like getting started on how many days should I go to the gym, how many days should I be dieting per week, where would you guys suggest people to start on there? And then can you eat too little food? Can you work out too much? Lauren, what do you think?
Let's see. So I'm.
The answer is yes.
I'm thinking. I'm thinking about someone I'm working with right now and thinking about energy balance. So it really depends on your goals. And so I'll just give an example. I'd say, like, depending on where you're at, you want to work out maybe 3 to 5 times a week.
Okay.
But if you're working out more than that, you need to take in more food. And I like to. So when I was doing macro counting, also is you have 2 refuel days, so 5. And which kind of fits in with our fitness challenge too. You have to have a mental break in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And someone I'm working with, she was like, "Oh, I had an oops yesterday," and I'm like, "That's okay. You actually have to have those mental oopses, I think, in order for you to stay sane.
Totally
Unless
agree.
you're Elizabeth, Joe, and Kelly, who are just machines.
Savages.
Right? They're savages. You tell them to do something and they'll do it 100%, and that's good. That's sometimes people are like that. A lot of people aren't. And like for me, a lot of pressures I have, I think, is with my family. My family loves eating, and eating not always the best food. So that's hard for me to say, sorry, I can't go out to Sweetwater with you or whatever. I can't eat the delicious. And so that's like, I think it's important to have those refuel days or those refuel meals where you do not splurge and go crazy, but you don't feel guilty about eating like a bad meal. As long as I tell people I eat healthy like 85% of the time. I eat very clean and healthy 85% of the time. And then there's the other 15% where I drink alcohol or do the things that aren't necessarily strict, but what I should be doing or with my goals. But I think mentally it's important to have that break.
Yeah, but consistency, like she's consistently eating at 85%, and that's how she can maintain those abs. It's not it's not like you get there and then it's over. It's you get there and then it's consistency. And I think a lot of people fail or struggle with nutrition and nutrition coaching when they get to a point where they feel like they've worked so hard for a certain result, and if that result wasn't what their expectation of the work was, then they start to get frustrated. And it's like, what got you to lose that first 10 pounds might not be the thing that's going to get you to lose the next 10 pounds, and maybe, like she said, energy balance. You can eat the same amount of food, you add one more workout in, or maybe you're running at lunch or something in addition to your workout, and that'll help push you past that point where you start to lose weight again. But then there's going to be a point where like you said, too much is too much, and without adding more calories, your body will kind of go the other way. So more is not always better. Better is better. And I think a lot of that, is kind of a mindset thing, and that's where nutrition coaching can really help, because a lot of the issues that I've seen, at least people with nutrition, is, deep-seated kind of emotional relationship with food type stuff. It's not, oh, did I eat 80 grams of protein today or not? It's like, it's much deeper than that. So I like to always tell people, instead of all or nothing, always something, and if you're always doing something to push forward in your journey with this nutrition goal, then you'll get there, but you got to be open-minded, you got to be willing to change, you got to be willing to do something different, and try something different, so.
As far as can you just work out? Is nutrition that big of a concept for just going and doing that, or can I just hit the gym 5-6 times a week and then just eat whatever I want?
So I exercise a good amount, and I think whatever your goals are, it's important to understand what you're eating to give your body what it needs for your goals. So for me, I noticed when I was doing macro counting that I wasn't taking in nearly enough protein as I should be. So even if I'm eating well, I'm still not getting the amount of grams of protein that I need to gain muscle. And so then I'll hit kind of a plateau. And so that's why it's important to still focus on what you're eating. That's why nutrition coaching, I think, is really important, because we can help with understanding your energy balance, your levels, how much you're taking in, and what, depending on your exercise, what type of food you might need. Like if I have a long distance runner, they're going to need a different type of food than my bodybuilder,
Right.
So it's definitely important to look at, even if unless you're 21 and I'm just
trying to think of a scenario where, and I think the answer to this for most people, and we'll talk about the the base of the the nutrition pyramid and everything like that, but I don't know what scenario where nutrition wouldn't be some big concept, right? I mean, especially as far as weight loss goes, that stuff really gets done in the kitchen, and exercise is probably the best supplement you could ever do to that. If you can't figure it out there, you're going to struggle really hard, I think, too. And for me, adding weight for me was a big problem that I had that was growing up, right? And that was because I didn't consume enough stuff, right? We talk about energy balance. I didn't consume enough stuff to be able to offset the amount of energy that I was expecting. Monroe, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, so the answer is, again, yes. You can lose weight by just exercising and keeping your nutrition the same, because, that's increasing the activity and not changing the food. But typically when people start working out, they get hungrier, because that's what happens. Your body wants more food. And then they start eating more because they're working out, and then they don't see any result. And they're like, oh man, I'm working out 5 times a week. It's like, well, yeah, you're drinking on the weekends and you're eating this like more than you ever were because you're hungry, because you earned it. But you could have just kept, your nutrition at a constant level and then added a little activity and you would have been fine. I also think that you're not going to see the most results from both, or you're not going to see the best results from either without both, right? So okay. I think a lot of the reason that I didn't make it to where I wanted to go athletically when I was serious about that was because I didn't pay attention to my nutrition. And if I had the nutrition dialed in, I had the mindset, I had the fitness, I had the skill, I had all that, but I didn't care enough about nutrition. And I'd go train for 3 hours a day, and then I'd go order takeout Chinese, like 5 times a week. Because it was cheap, man, I was broke, and I was hungry, like it is what it is. Good. Right? But yeah, I mean, and same thing with nutrition. You can cut your calories, or you can try a fad diet, or do something that changes, the amount of energy you're giving your body without adding any activity. And yeah, you'll lose weight, but there's going to be a point where you turn into kind of skinny fat, where you have no muscle tone and your body isn't very functional. Exercise is important for a number of reasons, heart health, everything. So, but I mean, all of this, I think, comes down to coaching and, finding a resource and a group of people that, can lead you in the right direction and give you the right answers that are going to be pertinent for you in your life. Coaching, just like athletic coaching, it's about relationships. And, I tell you guys and the other coaches, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. From an outside perspective, especially with nutrition, I think some people hang their hat on certifications and, titles and, letters after their name and all that. When the reality is, you can have all the knowledge in the world and you can have a degree and everything in this stuff, but if you can't connect with a person, you can't get them to take action when you're not sitting in front of them just talking to them about it, then it's not worth anything. Coaching for me, especially with nutrition coaching, is about inspiring people to do the right thing when you're not sitting there talking to them. There's no secrets to this. You can find everything you want to know about nutrition and how to lose weight and everything else on the internet. But I think that it's important to have someone to hold you accountable and have someone to give you some outside guidance. A lot of times you're in your life and you're kind of lost in your little world and what you normally do, and it's hard to see outside of that. Maybe you are doing too much, maybe you're not doing enough, maybe you thought that nuts were healthy for you if you eat 10 handfuls a day, so it's right.
Well, and I think just like CrossFit coaching, it's like seeing stuff that they may not see. You may not see that your hips are rising before your shoulders, and you may not feel it because you just may not have that awareness. And it's the same thing. I don't know if sometimes when you're nutrition coaching, Monroe, someone will say something and it's like a golden nugget. You're like, oh, well, this is interesting. Yeah.
That is so useful.
I can help for this.
Absolutely.
And it might be something like that you just don't realize, like maybe how not getting enough sleep is causing your systems to not function properly, or maybe it's like the relational or emotional stress is weighing on your endocrine system or your digestive system, and it can. And so it's important that you just might think, oh, well, I'll get more sleep eventually. Oh, well, my husband's really being terrible and obnoxious, or my family's stressing me out. And they just might not understand fully that stress on your body is a stress that's causing you to not make improvements. So the outside influence of a coach can really help with that.
Yeah, gotcha, guys. Well, let's talk a little bit more about what are you guys going to be doing over here, with Verity. I know you guys are both PN1 coaches. Could you guys explain that a little bit and just describe what that program's like?
Yeah, PN is Precision Nutrition. They're a education certification company. They certify nutrition coaches all over the world. And nutrition coach, and they're very clear about this, like, you are not allowed to give medical advice, right?
Yeah.
I'm a swim coach, not a lifeguard, but if you're in a situation where you need a lifeguard, you probably needed a swim coach earlier, right? So yeah, PN does nutrition coaching, they certify coaching, and the thing that I love about that company in particular is their approach to nutrition coaching is very, what's on the inside, what's going on outside of, the gym, what's going on in your life, what's your history look like, what does your heritage look like, what types of food you like, what are you allergic to, what do you have adverse reactions to, and it's really, how do we get the person to do what they need to do, not, well, what does the science say, because we're people, we're not machines.
Yep.
So yeah, I love PN. I think it's a great company, but yeah, what we do here is we run through their ProCoach system, which is basically, it's a curriculum of habits and things that you can basically guide the person that you're coaching through, right? So yeah, you want to move more and eat less, but like, what does that look like after it's not interesting anymore, and you're not like, okay, I'm tracking my food in my app every single day and I'm just going through the motions of it. How do you focus on things that you can really chunk this out into a path that's attainable over the long term, right? So what Lauren was saying, like, hey, taking 5 minutes every day and doing a 5-minute action, can have a lot of results over the course of a year. But if you're just so worried about getting 300 grams of carbs every day, that becomes really monotonous and really hard to like focus on all the time. So that's kind of the way that we do it. What is your experience in the first little bit of doing this?
The software that they use, what we call ProCoach, I think is really user friendly. I think it's really great. Makes it easy to communicate with folks that you're coaching, and also helps break down a lot of really easy actions that you can take just to do things a little bit better. It's not like you're saying, it's not all or nothing. It's not don't eat any chocolate ever. It's just do something a little bit better. Maybe choose something with a little less sugar. And it's just very manageable, very realistic.
Yeah, what I like about just nutrition coaching in general, we were talking a lot about just, there's so many different things that can be out there, right? And I'm sure you guys have all been around the dinner table, right? This has certainly happened within my family in the past, where all of a sudden everybody's an expert on nutrition, and they're just, they're not, right? That's your guys' job, is to sift through all of this different information and everything like that. And that's also, I think, a great reason to go work with a coach. It's like Monroe said, you might have access to all this different information out there, right? There's a lot of good information out there. There's also a lot of really bad information out there, right? And so one of the big perks to working one-on-one with one of these guys is they've gone through all of this stuff. This is what they do every single day, right? And hiring them, you get to go over like expert knowledge and everything. And these guys are going to be really, really sharp in their approach and what they're going to be doing for all this stuff.
And we've seen all the excuses. We've heard all the reasons why it's not going to work. And
we've been there, right?
For sure.
I remember back when I was first getting started and all this stuff, the reasons that I wouldn't go to the gym or have nutrition, it was, I was a full-time college student. I worked full-time as well, which is not really any different than what I'm doing right now. I'm currently taking your certification. I'm currently working full-time. I coach here. I have a fiance. Like, I just carved out time and everything like that. But it is hard, initially, right? And you do have to build those initial habits. But I remember for myself, I think the most common thing I probably even hear was, I don't have enough time. It's like, nah, you haven't carved out that time. You haven't scheduled it. What else do you guys hear? What did you guys struggle with back when you guys were first getting into fitness?
Maybe that it's expensive. I hear that a lot, and I don't know why, that's one of the most frustrating things I hear about eating healthy is really expensive. I'm like, if you go to the store and buy a bunch of broccoli, it's actually really inexpensive. I think it's just one of those things you hear I think if you're busy, cooking healthy things can be cumbersome. Buying pre-cut stuff can, you have to kind of find that balance of maybe more costly things. But dude,
you don't have to go to Whole Foods, guys.
Right.
I will also say that, right? I mean, like, Whole Foods is great. I mean, we can get into probably a whole nother podcast of the whole grain finish versus non-grain stuff. I don't want to get into that, but I don't go to Whole Foods. I think I eat pretty clean for the most part. I go to my local Giant, Wegmans, whatever it's going to be, and it's okay, right? So that's a good one. I didn't think about that. Monroe?
Yeah, I agree. I think another reason that people, think that nutrition isn't the thing for them is maybe they're like, oh, well, I don't really need to lose weight, or I only need to lose 5-10 pounds. I'm not at a point where I need to go talk to a coach and, really dial it in. But there's so many other benefits other than weight loss that nutrition coaching can help with. Like I said, in my experience, if I had a nutrition coach, I think my athletic performance would have improved. We talked to one of our members yesterday, and he's been focused on his nutrition and doing a lot here in the gym, and he's a pilot, and he just keeps talking about cognitive ability and how it's just it's like health and fitness, eating healthy and working out is like the fountain of youth, and it just keeps your brain active. And there's so many things that people don't think about when it comes to the holistic part of being a healthy, fit individual.
It's a great point.
Thinking big picture, right? I think almost in terms of everything. I get really caught up in short-term stuff, right? For work, it's like, if I don't hire X amount of people, there's going to be problems, right? And so I'll boil that down to even all right, if I don't make 10 phone calls within this one day, stuff's going to kind of go haywire, instead of looking at it from an annual perspective or a much bigger perspective. And we talk about that with nutrition and everything. At least for me, coming in here doing CrossFit and eating, I'm going to say mostly clean. I do an 80-20 thing. I also count macros, and I enjoy some other kind of finer things in life. But that's a goal, basically, to with the attempt, and God willing, to live into my 80s or my 90s and be able just to live a long and healthy life. All right, guys, coming to a close here on ways to just improve your nutrition and overall health 2021. We're going to go over to Lauren here. Fun facts with Lauren. We should make this a new segment, do 30 seconds, just a rapid fire round at the end of everything. But Lauren, what you got for us today?
Well, only because I think data is super important. I heard one time that traffic circles reduce fatalities by 80%, and that's always stuck with me.
Is that true?
Yes, and so it's data.
I love traffic circles. I think they make so much sense.
And a lot of people hate them, but you don't realize that they're really important from a safety perspective. So it's stuff like that I find very compelling.
Keep dropping knowledge on us.
So here we go. So 90% of Americans eat more sodium than is recommended for a healthy diet. And that's something we learn about in PN with the fluid balance and how sodium can impact that. It's really super interesting. And also that as you take in less sodium, your body wants less sodium. So it's kind of like drinking soda. The less you drink it, the more you don't want it, the less you want it. Right. So interesting. And then, so my tip for that, add salt at the end of cooking a meal instead of before or during. And then, recent reports project that by 2030, half of all adults in the U.S. will be obese.
Which is horrible.
And that's current levels. Is it 30%, 40%, just above 30%?
Let's see. So my work's all in El Paso. In El Paso,
yep.
Adults are, it's somewhere around 60% of adults are overweight or obese.
Okay, I gotcha.
Here, it's probably a little bit less than that, but it's... overweight adolescents have a 70% chance of becoming overweight or obese adults. So I think as a parent, nutrition coaching is also extremely important, because you should be a very good role model for your children. Because, man, is that important when you're a kid growing up and not being made fun of for being... I think that's just breaks my heart. Kids are mean. So... And then those who are obese have medical costs that are $1,400 more than those of normal weight on average. And the annual cost of being overweight is $500 for women and $400 for men more. So being obese, it's even higher. So the annual cost of being overweight is higher because of things like medical challenges and eating more too, things like that.
So you're saying the cost of being obese is greater than the cost of hiring a coach for nutrition?
Yeah, man. Get a coach.
Yeah, Monroe, where do we need to come find you guys in order to do some nutrition coaching over at Verity?
Yeah, so you can send me an email, monroe@verity.training. If you have questions, or if you're just kind of wading into this thing and you want some help, be more than happy to help you out. I'll put a link in the description where you can actually just sign up for our program if you want to jump in with us. And then once you fill out that, we'll contact you, and you can work with me or Lauren if you'd like. So
awesome, guys. Cool. You guys want to do closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. Keep it simple. Just move more and eat a little bit less. Don't, it doesn't need to be anything extreme or anything crazy. It just needs to be something. You're taking action towards moving towards your goal.
Lauren?
I think the move more is critical, especially now during COVID. We're all sitting on our computers all day long. Especially if you start to get tired during the day, move a lot more. It'll help get your system going. In addition to eating right, has to go hand in hand, and we can help with that. So move more all throughout the day.
Yeah, my closing thoughts here for nutrition. I'm going to say pick one thing, whatever your nutrition program is going to end up being, intermittent fasting, if it's keto, if it's going to be PN, and commit to that for 90 days. Right? Give that 90 days. And then if you don't know what to do, or if you don't know which program to pick, get a consultation with one of these guys, because you need some help, and it's okay to be vulnerable and to go ask for help and do all that stuff. I know that's really hard. It can seem embarrassing, but these guys are not here. We're not judging you. These guys are not going to judge you based on anything. They are genuinely here to help because they care about you, and they care about your health and well-being, your family, and everything like that. All right, you guys. Thanks for stopping by the Full Send Podcast, guys. Lauren,
Thanks.
Monroe.
Have a great day.
See you guys
See you later.
Thank you so much for listening and watching our show. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a comment below. Like it if you liked the video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.